A young girl from the Cheng family has come to recognize her family, claiming to be the biological daughter of their missing youngest son. 18 years ago the head of the Cheng family looked at the small face in front of him, which was 7 points similar to his youngest son, and still carefully conducted a paternity test. It's a real blow. His youngest son has been missing for many years and has really produced a daughter. What level of fighting spirit are you at now? What is your talent? No, no, no. You're not like your dad who can't practice, are you? Faced with the crowd surrounding her who kept asking questions, Dingserse looked bewildered. What is fighting spirit? I hadn't repaired it before. Mrs. Cheng hugged Ding Cece tightly and sobbed loudly. Even if sis cannot cultivate, my old lady will protect her for a lifetime. When she grows old, I will send her away and never listen to your bullshit marriage again. Dingserse. Why are you taking me away? I don't know how to fight, but I can cultivate immortals. No CP, strong female, really strong, violent search for the truth in the world where my biological father was born. Keywords of the novel. No pop-ups in the world of Douqi, no pop-ups in the world of Douqi. Download the complete set of TXT in the world of Douqi, and read the latest chapters in the world of Douqi. Chapter 1. Entering the Cheng family for the first time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Entering the Cheng family for the first time. At the entrance of the second city gate stood a strange girl. With a petite figure and a round face paired with round eyes, she appears very obedient. Combined with the baby fat that has not faded away, it immediately feels like one is not old and creates a strong desire for protection. It's more accurate to say that she is eccentric than to say that her attire is clearly different from the people around her. Standing at the bustling city gate, she stands out even more. She was dressed in a goose yellow dress with a light blue pattern embroidered on the hem, only reaching below her knees, revealing most of her fair and tender calves. The sleeves extended to her wrist, but she didn't know the material. Although her arms were covered in clothing, the skin of her arms could be faintly seen. And the people around them are mostly wearing long sleeves and skirts, with wide skirts covering their arms and legs. Apart from their faces and hands, there is little excess skin exposed to the air. The girl seemed to realize that she was dressed improperly and tilted her head, without feeling uneasy. She just stared at the high city gate. Non-stop. 2 cities. The girl whispered the name of the city and pursed her lips. I don't know who obtained this strange city name. Feeling more and more eyes staring at her from around, the girl blinked and her figure gradually disappeared from everyone's sight, but the people around seemed unaware. The person who was originally staring at the girl seemed to be lost in thought and scratched his head, not knowing what he had just been looking at. At the entrance of Cheng's home in Urchin, a little girl dressed in a goose yellow dress appeared at the entrance of Cheng's house, wearing a long-sleeved dress similar to those around her. It was the strange girl who had just appeared at the city gate. The ancient and heavy gate was open, but there were 2 guards with knives standing at the door, exuding a fierce aura that made people hesitant to approach. Is this the Cheng family? The 2 guards glanced at her. Even though the girl in front of them seemed harmless, they did not let their guard down. Idle people are not allowed to approach. The girl took a few more steps forward, and when she was only 5 or 6 steps away from the guard on the left, the guard began to draw his sword. Step back. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Then tell me, is this the Cheng family? Qingyou's Cheng family. Bold. Do not use the name of the head of the household directly. The 2 guards simultaneously drew their swords, with the tip pointing straight at the young girl in front of them. The girl pursed her lips. So fierce, not friendly at all. She took out a silver token from her sleeve and waved it in front of both of them. Is this your family's brand? I'm looking for Qingyu. Master Cheng, just say I'm his granddaughter and ask him if he sees me. The 2 guards saw the token clearly and their faces changed, but they didn't immediately let anyone in, but their tone softened a lot. No, it's a lot. Miss, I will inform the homeowner later. However, in a moment, a group of people appeared behind the door, led by a burly figure with a beard, giving people a feeling of not being angry but imposing. It was Qingyu, the head of the Cheng family. It's a bit fierce. This is the girl's first impression of that person. Do you know Qing Fu? Qingyu stood at the door, staring at the girl for a while before asking. That's my dad. The girl's voice was clear and clear, without showing any timidity. Your father. Qingyu snorted lightly and said, it's impressive. I've been missing for 18 years. If I don't come back, I'll send my daughter back. Upon hearing this tone, there was no doubt that he wanted to recognize this young girl. What's your name? Where is Qing Fu now? Ding sirs. Dad and Mom are in a very far place. The girl, also known as Ding Sisi, spoke with a hint of obvious grievance and sighed when mentioning her parents. Qingyu's expression froze, and his gaze on Ding Sisi's body deepened a bit. Cheng, who doesn't have the same surname, took someone else's surname. Come on in. Ding Sisi jumped forward 2 steps and followed Qingyu. Are you Cheng? My grandfather. Why doesn't he look like his father? Qingyu didn't turn back and walked forward, but he didn't answer Ding Sisi's question. Why not have the surname Cheng? Dad lost the fight with Mom's surname. Humph, I will take you into the ancestral hall. If you are truly a member of the Cheng family, the genealogy will recognize your identity. Ah, I thought with my face, you wouldn't doubt me. Qingyu's tone was light. It's just the rules. Ding Sisi pursed his lips and said, my temper is indeed the same as what my dad said. Qingyu stopped answering and led people straight into the temple. Someone was already guarding the temple, waiting for Qingyu and his companions to arrive. The hall is filled with plaques, and there is a thick booklet on the table in the middle. Next to the booklet, there is a silver pillar that looks similar to the token material that Dingsirs previously took out. Squeeze a drop of blood into the cylinder on the table. Ding Sisi walked forward without asking much, picking up a small knife from the table and piercing his fingertips, dropping blood above the cylinder. After applying the blood, someone immediately stepped forward and handed Dingsirs a bottle of ointment. After applying it, the wound on his hand healed visibly to the naked eye. And the booklets on the table gradually began to react. The book shimmered with purple light, and when there was no wind, it automatically flipped page by page, but within a few seconds, the book stopped flipping. Ding Sisi's eyes were sharp, and he saw that the page happened to have Qing Fu's name written on it, and his own name gradually appeared under Qing Fu's name. It's just that my father's name is gray compared to my own name, while the names of the others on that page are all gold. Qingyu only took a glance and then led Ding Sisi out of the temple. Are you sure now that I am my father's daughter? Qingyu nodded and said, tomorrow I will announce that you are the 5th miss of the Qing family. You will be temporarily staying in the guest house today, and your residence will also be cleaned up tomorrow. Piaoshu, come here. Behind Qingyu walked up to a middle-aged woman in a dark dress and blessed Ding Sisi. Piaoshu is an old man following your grandmother. Just call her auntie. She will tell you about the situation and rules in Cheng's mansion, listen carefully. The rest will be discussed when all the people in the mansion come tomorrow. Qingyu didn't stay much and took Ding Sisi to the entrance of the guest house before leaving. Aunt Piaoshu had a smile on her face and a kind expression on her face. Miss Wu, it's almost noon now. The old servant has prepared some dishes for you and also hot water. Are you planning to wash up or eat first? Let's have dinner. Auntie, if you don't tell me, I haven't realized I'm hungry yet. How about we talk about the situation in Cheng's mansion while we eat? Okay, I'll have someone bring the food over now. The homeowner informed me too late, and I asked about your preferences before I had anything else to do. I'm afraid it won't suit your taste. Ding Sisi waved his hand and said, it's okay, Aunt Piaoshu. I'm not picky about food, I can eat anything. The smile on Piao Xu's face was deeper. This is exactly the same as the young master. The young master ate at that time, and I like to eat whatever I prepare. Do you know my dad? I've known each other since I was a slave. Even after disappearing for so many years, I don't know how the young master is doing now. With a hint of probing in her floating voice, the main young girl arrived without any adults following her, and the expression on the head's face just now was not very good, giving her a bad feeling. My parents have gone a long way, and they said I can't go yet, so they asked me to come here to find Cheng. Grandparents. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Preliminary Understanding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Preliminary Understanding. Piao Xu's footsteps stopped, and her face suddenly turned pale. As if worried about something, he looked at Ding Sisi for a while before saying, "Young master. How did you leave with your mother? Practice it. Practice it and then leave. Miss, have you ever practiced fighting spirit?" There was a hint of urgency in Piao Xu's tone, even ignoring etiquette and directly grabbing Ding Sisi's wrist. Ding Sers tilted his head to look at her, but he didn't feel any malice, only heard concern in his tone. "No, why am I cultivating that fighting spirit? It's good if you don't have it, it's good if you don't have it. Miss Wu, we don't need to practice. Even if you don't practice, the master and wife will bless you for life. We won't force the young master to run away from home like we did back then." The words came abruptly, and Piao Xu seemed to realize that these words should not be spoken directly to Ding Sers. She let go of her grip on Ding Sers and tried to ease her voice. "Miss Wu, the old servant is impolite." Ding Sisi looked at Piao Xu several times, feeling that they had misunderstood a lot of things. This guest residence is not very large, but it is very close to the residence of the homeowner and his wife. It is estimated that the homeowner has temporarily placed you here for the convenience of taking care of you. This so-called guest house is also a small courtyard. Piao Xu doesn't say much, but they have been talking and walking all the way, and haven't even reached the place to eat yet. "This is much better than the place where I used to live with my parents, it's already very good here." As soon as this sentence was spoken, it attracted the affectionate gaze of Piao Xu. "Miss, you have suffered and your body has become thinner. When you turn around, I will prepare more nourishing foods that will surely help you recover better." Ding Sisi tugged at the flesh on his face and said. Aunt Piao Xu not only has some misunderstandings about her parents, but may also have some misunderstandings about the word thin. Skipping those strange misunderstandings, Ding Sisi learned more about the Cheng family from Piao Xu's side. It was not intentional probing, on the contrary, Piao Xu almost told Ding Sisi everything she could say. The current head of the Cheng family is Qingyu, who has 3 sons. The eldest son Qingqi, with a 3rd level of fighting spirit, gave birth to 2 sons and 2 daughters. The second daughter, Qingyu, has a 3rd level of fighting spirit and is said to be about to break through the 4th level of fighting spirit. She is a well-known genius among the people of the 2 cities and is still unmarried. Yaozi is his own father, and it is said that at the age of 3, when testing his cultivation talent, he was found unable to cultivate. In addition to the Qingyu lineage, the Cheng family's legitimate lineage also includes a son who is the 2nd son of the Cheng family, 3 sons and 2 daughters of the grandchildren, all of whom are talented individuals selected from other branches to join the Cheng family's legitimate lineage. The collateral population is larger, but it is also distributed in other cities, and Piao Xu did not provide much introduction. There are also several elders, among whom the eldest elder, the 5th elder, and the 6th elder often reside in the 2nd city, while the rest are scattered throughout the country. Piao Xu only briefly introduced the main members of the Cheng family, but didn't say much about cultivation, as if she was avoiding something. Ding Sers didn't care either, just waiting for everyone to come back from the main city tomorrow and find someone first. That's right, almost everyone from the Cheng family went to the main city, except for Qingyu, for the marriage of Qingyu, the eldest daughter of Qingqi, and the 8th Prince Lan Yu. 20 years ago, Empress Feng arrived in 2 cities and gave birth to a son prematurely in the Qing family, while Qingyu's mother almost gave birth to Qingyu at the same time. The Empress may have also wanted to win over the Qing family, so she arranged a marriage for the 2 of them at the Qing mansion, and their names were later given by the emperor, both in jade characters. But they went to the main city not to get married, but to withdraw. The continent from Dingsers is called Shanghai continent, which is mostly covered by sea areas. The land where the Qing family is located is divided into 2 parts, east and west. In the east, there is only the Lan kingdom, and although there are aristocratic families occupying it, it is mainly dominated by the royal family in the main city. There are 3 major aristocratic families in the west, one is the Mountain Gate, one is the school, and there are the people of the city and pond under it, but they no longer belong to the land of Lan, but belong to the Mountain Gate of the aristocratic family. Langua has connections with each other, but there is no division between them, but some friction exists. It is said that there are actually continents outside the sea area, but the sea area is dangerous. People who have tried to navigate the sea area, but within a few hundred miles, there is no news, and life and death are unpredictable. The 2 cities are closely adjacent to the main city, and it is said that at that time, the 2 cities were also included in the jurisdiction of the main city. The founding emperor of Lan had 3 opposite-sex brothers who accompanied him in conquering the land of Lan. After the pacification of Lan, all 3 brother families were located near the second city, so they separated the 2 cities and assigned them to the 3 people. The peculiar name Cheng is said to have been chosen by the head of the 3 families at that time, the Su family, meaning loyalty and loyalty. To be honest, the ancestor of the Su family is also a skilled namer nowadays. Lan Kingdom has been established for over 1,000 years, and various families have developed. The 3 families have also become the 3 major aristocratic families in the 2 cities. The old man who died early in the past was clean, and his love for the dragon's merit had long disappeared completely. All that remained was the increasing strength of the aristocratic family and the increasing fear of the royal family. Ding Cixi probably had some speculations in his heart about the bleak relationship between his father and his own name on the family tree. She saw that the people around her were basically surrounded by some kind of qi, which was almost the same as the cultivation power of this world. It should be their fighting spirit. Aunt Piaoshu only mentioned the cultivation levels of Uncle Cheng and Aunt Cheng, and most likely wanted to remind her that although there are many younger generations in the Qing family, they are probably not as good as the 2 of them. Is this to make her hug her thighs tightly? The cultivation level of the younger generation is not mentioned at all, but looking at the shining golden light on the family tree, it is generally possible to cultivate. No matter how talented the children born to Uncle Cheng are, the few people selected from other branches must have extraordinary talents, and Piaoshu deliberately didn't mention it, probably to consider herself esteem. But Ding Cixi thought about the names of Jin Guangda Sheng on the genealogy and lightly tapped the table, which did not match the information he had obtained. Although the masters of the Qing family were not present, the news of the newly appointed 5th miss of the Qing family has spread throughout the entire Qing family and even the entire second city. The Qing family, who arrived a day early, looked puzzled. Miss 5. Who is that? Another little bitch from the side branch. Did the little sisters rob our resources? The mistress of the Qing family, also known as the wife of the Qing family, suddenly remembered her husband's abnormality half a month ago. Early in the morning, she calmly told herself that her youngest son had entrusted him with a dream, saying that her daughter would return to the Qing family in a while. At that time, she only thought Qingyou was old and had a bad brain, but she refused to go to the main city without saying anything. Is it difficult? Is what that bad old man said true? To daydream, isn't it only when people die that they daydream? Qingqi, let the people behind us go on our own, let's go back first. Yes, mother. There is still a clear distance from the city gate to the Qing family. Cheng's mother is eager to return, but it takes only a cup of tea to reach the Qing family gate. Qingyou. Where is my granddaughter? No, where is my son? Where is my son? Ding Xixi's yard was not far from the front hall. When Qinggui's messenger called her to the front hall, what caught her eye was a middle-aged and beautiful woman chasing after Qinggui. The maid who brought her in brought Ding Xixi over and ran out without even entering the door of the hall. Ding Sirs. End of this chapter. Article 3. Everyone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Article 3. Everyone Qinggui, you old bastard. If it weren't for you sticking to those rules, how could my Fuer have been away from home for 18 years? He is such a well-behaved child. If it weren't for your Qing family's desperate situation, how could it have been so many years without ever coming back? That woman has 5 similarities with Qing Fu, even with Ding Xixi. Her appearance is also very similar, but it is the difference of time that makes these similarities hard from 5 to 3. However, I can also guess the identity of the person in front of me. Qinggui flashed past a flying chair and said, "What are you talking nonsense in front of the child? Qing Fu is also a member of the Qing family, how can he be your Qing family? What happened back then?" Seeing Ding Xixi at the door, Qinggui stopped and no longer dodged. However, Qingmu did not stop. As soon as she raised the table, she saw the gaze of everyone in the hall towards the door. She followed the gaze of everyone and looked over. "Hello. You keep going, don't worry about me." Ding Xixi waved his hand and smiled awkwardly, not impolite. Cheng's mother quickly put down the table, then turned her head again with a loving expression. "The speed of changing faces is so fast, are you just a thug?" Ding Xixi nodded and obediently called out, "Grandmother." Cheng's mother took 2 quick steps and grabbed Ding Xixi into her arms. "My poor child, who has suffered so many years outside. Such a poor person, your cruel parents are willing to leave you behind." Ding Xixi couldn't help but nod in agreement. It's too much to bear to leave such a lovely daughter behind. Poor thing that made you lose your parents at a young age. I sent the white-haired person to the black-haired person, leaving only our grandparents and grandchildren to rely on each other. For 18 years, I haven't even seen my son's last face, it's like heaven and earth are forever separated. Qinggui. Everyone from the Qing family. Oh my old mother, if I remember correctly, you still have a pair of children, a group of descendants, and a living old gentleman. Cheng's mother's heartache is true, but for some reason, Qing Qi dared not step forward. Most of the younger members of the Qing family had never seen Qing Fu, and Cheng's mother was usually kind but still majestic. Suddenly, seeing Cheng's mother like this, she was at a loss. Qinggui sighed, and just as he was about to step forward, he didn't feel like Ding Xixi was in Cheng's mother's arms. "Grandmother, my parents didn't die. They just went far away. We will meet them someday." In Cheng's mother's eyes, there was even greater pity. "Yes, that's right. Sister is not sad, as long as we remember them in our hearts, they will always live in our hearts." Ding Sirs. My mother said that things from other worlds cannot be discussed with people from the mainland of Shanghai. So how should she explain to her grandmother that her parents didn't die, they just flew up to the upper realm? "Grandmother, you really believe me, my parents are really not dead. As long as you practice well, one day you will meet them." This mother really said it. Although they are not in the same galaxy, they are nothing more than 3,000 worlds. In the end, the path of cultivation is also the same, whether it is fighting spirit or cultivating immortals. Cough. Qinggui coughed lightly twice, and his mother, who was originally in pain, suddenly became disgusted when she looked at Qinggui and said, "If you have something to say, don't disturb me when I communicate with Xixi. Perhaps you could also choose to let Thusser communicate his feelings with other family members first." Qing Qi waved his hand to the younger generation. "No need, mother, you come first. We're not in a hurry." At least Cheng's mother suppressed the pain in her heart. Qing Fu has been away from home for 18 years. In this era where the strong are respected, he is a petite and wealthy young master living outside. Cheng's mother has searched for it, but in fact, she has not had much expectation in her heart after so many years. Now that Ding Sisi has arrived, at least in the 18 years he has been away from home, there are still people around him, and at least he has left his bloodline in this world. Cheng's mother lowered her head to wipe away the tears on her face, and then looked up with a forced smile on her face. "Sister, come here, I'll take you to recognize the person." Ding Sisi was obediently led by Cheng's mother, and due to her appearance was truly obedient, making people look pleasing. At least the hostility in the eyes of some younger members of the Qing family has dissipated quite a bit. "This is your uncle, Qing Qi, and the person next to you is your aunt." "Hello uncle, hello aunt." Qing Fu's appearance is very similar to Cheng's mother, but Qing Qi's appearance is particularly similar to Cheng's father. Qing Qi and his wife were already prepared. Aunt Cheng took out a bracelet and put it on Ding Sisi's hand. "Uncle and auntie have never seen you in all these years. Since you have returned, I will definitely make up for what was missing in the past. Take this bracelet and play with it first. If there is anything missing in the future, tell auntie." Qing Qi didn't say much and handed Ding Sisi a purple card. "If it's not enough, ask uncle for it." Ding Sisi understands instantly, this is giving money directly. "Thank you, uncle and aunt." Ding Sisi didn't bring any push-plugs at all, so he packed them all up. "Your aunt is busy in the main city and did not come back with us. However, I asked her father to send her a message, and she should also come back tomorrow or later. As for the other uncle, he has gone out of town and won't be able to come back soon. We will introduce him to you when he returns. These are all your brothers and sisters. You can also identify people. This is..." Cheng's mother looked at the younger generation behind her and suddenly got stuck. "You sisters are close, so you'd better introduce yourself." Ding Sisi looked over and actually noticed this side as soon as he entered the door. 9 young men and girls, dressed in brocade and robes, stood behind Qing Qi, each with their own charm, making it difficult not to attract attention. Ding Sis only listened to the 2 boys at the back whispering, "Grandmother probably didn't want us to communicate emotions, she just didn't remember our names, did she?" Another boy tugged at his sleeve and said, "You can hear it, don't say it." Cheng Mu. "My name is Qingyu, just call me Big Sister. I don't know how old Sisi is this year. Just turned 16. Those present here, except for Qingxi and Qingchao, are all older than you." Following Qingyou's fingertips, Qingchao and Qingxi were the 2 young men who had just spoken. They looked only about 10 years old and looked similar. They were actually a pair of twins, but they were not very old. He tugged at Ding Sisi's gaze to save face, without any further action. "This is big brother Qinglei, second brother Qingyu, second sister Qingyu, third sister Qingluo, fourth sister Qingyi, and third brother Bronze." Qingyou's introduction is probably based on age, and the people who were called also generously gave a smile, but no one knows what they think in their hearts. "Now that we have all recognized each other, Qingyu, let's go down with our brothers and sisters. The food has been prepared in the kitchen, and your brothers and sisters can exchange feelings again." Yes, Qingyu takes orders. Although Qinglei is older, it is Qingyu who is doing things like organizing, and the members of the Qing family do not feel anything is wrong. After bowing, they are ready to step down. Sisi's first meal was naturally with me. I just met Sisi and naturally wanted to be with her. Cheng's mother wanted to step down and keep up with everyone she saw, but she was stopped by Qingyu. When everyone had left cleanly, leaving only Qingyu and his wife, he spoke up and said, "As the mistress of the Qing family, you don't even recognize your younger generation. How dare you keep up? Humph, that's the younger generation of your Qing family. What does it have to do with me? Qingyu, I made it very clear back then. If it weren't for Fuer, if it weren't for you, Qing family, do you think I'm rare?" This statement actually left Qing Qi and Qing Ro behind. Qingyu felt a bit headache, unsure whether to be happy for his wife not abandoning him, or whether the vast Cheng family could only make her feel sad and nostalgic for herself. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Emotional Exchange Between Brothers and Sisters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Emotional Exchange Between Brothers and Sisters. Han Lin, sis and Fu cannot cultivate. The life of an ordinary person is only 100 years, and even if they find those heavenly and earthly treasures, they will not be able to hold on for many years. Qingmu, also known as Han Lin, was slightly stunned. Qingyu continued, Piaoshu has talked to Sisi before, and Fuer's departure may be related to his forced practice instead of his inability to practice. What happened back then was that I couldn't protect you well, giving birth to a mother and son separation, and the mother-daughter split. Now that Sisi is back, I don't want her to go back on the same old path. You know, those people back then all lived well, even stronger than before. We had to protect sis. Han Lin's tears couldn't stop on her face, and she said with hatred, the thing I regretted the most back then was listening to your nonsense. I believe you were able to protect Fuer back then. Qingyu, if sis's life couldn't be safe and smooth, I really wouldn't see you again in this life. Qingyu sighed and took Han Lin into his arms. The events of the past were never over, and Qing Fu sent Ding Sisi back, fearing that it might also be related to those events back then. Watercolor. Everyone looked at the flowers and plants in the courtyard, and the exquisite courtyard was carefully maintained by people. I thought this watercolor was abandoned and had never come in before. I didn't expect it to be so exquisite inside. Qingluo spoke first, looking at Ding Sisi with a hint of smile in her eyes. Qingyu, who was standing beside her, took over the conversation and said, Third sister, you should know that my grandmother would come here whenever she has nothing to do. Besides the main building, she runs the most frequently here. I thought with my grandmother's level of appreciation for this courtyard, we would never have the chance to appreciate the beautiful scenery in this courtyard in our lifetime. I didn't expect to be blessed by my fifth sister today. Not only can we come in and take a look, but we can also eat and drink in this courtyard. No, when Sister Wu arrived, Auntie gave her the jade bracelet, which was almost a mid-level magic weapon. We have been practicing for many years, and we only have a low-grade magic weapon in our hands. Qingchao, do you think we should also run away from home once? Maybe we can stay in the big courtyard and receive the magic weapon after we come back. Don't talk nonsense, they can all hear. Qingxi. What we need is for them to hear, okay? How can things that sow discord come quietly? That purple gold card is also rare. We siblings just need to use copper and silver coins. Gold coins are not willing to be used on a daily basis, and every penny outside has to be broken into 2 pieces. What do you think of us 5 sisters? With a purple gold card, we can always use purple gold coins to pay for our expenses when we go out, okay? TSK, I don't know how much money is in the card that the old man gave me. The next speaker is Cheng Bronze, also Cheng Chi's youngest son, slightly older than Ding Sisi. Cheng Qinglan gave Cheng Bronze a heavy tap on the head and said, Don't talk nonsense, be normal. Cheng Bronze pursed his lips and didn't say much. Cheng Qinglan said, When they get together, it's quite abnormal. Don't worry about them. Ding Sisi seemed to be drifting away from the crowd. Even though she was the protagonist in the words of the Cheng family just now, she still had no sense of participation and just leaned back towards Qingyu. Second sister has just retired, and without a man, she has confidence. We can't talk sour anymore. Alas, as a newcomer, not only the elders but also the sisters are biased. Sister Qingyou, can't your heart also lean towards your new sister? Qingluo slowly spoke, as if afraid that the water might not be stirred enough. Ding Sisi looked at the Cheng family around him, speaking in a strange and sinister manner. Except for Cheng Qingyu and Cheng Qinglan, who remained silent, they were all watching the show. Cheng Qingyu and Cheng Qinglan are both daughters of Cheng Qi. Alright, I've seen you too. Let's all go back together. The first day Wu Mei arrived at the Cheng family, she should have a good rest. Tomorrow, with my grandfather's permission, I'll take Cici out for a walk. I think many people in this city want to see Cici. Cheng Qinglei looked at Ding Cici, carrying the appearance of a good brother. Upon hearing this, Cheng Bronze also smiled and said, then it depends on whether our fifth sister is afraid of life and dares not go out to meet her. By the way, didn't my grandfather say he prepared food and drinks? Where is it? I haven't even seen it now. Cheng Qing gave him a dismissive glance and said, I can still believe what my grandfather said, but he just wants to spend us all to make it easier for them to talk. What about Sister Wu? Are we going out to play together tomorrow? Ding Cici tugged at Qingyou's hem and said, will Sister Qingyu also go together? Qingyu was somewhat surprised by Ding Cici's closeness, but looking at his face that was extremely similar to his uncle, he was quite happy about her closeness. I went there myself. Tomorrow there will be a competition among the younger children of the Su, Zhao, and Cheng families. Each family will have 5 contestants, and the winner will receive a low-level magic weapon. Although I won't participate in tomorrow's competition, I will still be there to take a look. Competition. But my grandfather said during the day that you were originally scheduled to come back tomorrow. If you hadn't come back early, wouldn't you have missed the competition? Before Qingyu could even speak, she heard Qingyu say, oh, I made a mistake in remembering the time. After all, this competition has nothing to do with me. I'm still young, so it's normal for me to make some mistakes, right? Moreover, the older brothers and sisters are so powerful that even if they didn't come back early to prepare, they would definitely have won the low-grade magic weapon. Brothers and sisters. Hard fists. Ah. Qingchao suddenly said, no wonder during my time in the main city, you have been asking me to practice well. So you want that magical tool? Don't worry, I will win it for you. Qing gritted his teeth and said, don't talk, they can hear. Oh. Cheng Bronze gritted his teeth and said, my good brother, you're waiting for the competition to end tomorrow. See if I can kill you. Oh, no, it's training. Qingxi. Oh, I have to finish it, my good brother. Ding Cici watched as everyone left before he had time to take a look at this new residence. Watercolor. The smile on Ding Cici's face grew stronger. It was the yard where his father used to live. Piaoshu had been waiting on the side for a long time, but just as the younger masters of the Cheng family were around, she didn't come out. After the others dispersed, she walked over to Ding Cici's side. Miss Wu, are you really going with all the masters tomorrow? Ding Cici nodded and said, I think Sister Qingyu is kind, so I promised her just now. It's not good to back out. Piaoshu's face still had some worries. Although the young masters are not bad-hearted, their temper is really a bit strange, and they like to play tricks on people. You have no trace of fighting spirit all over your body. They intentionally dragged you to the competition venue, although it was not to harm you. They probably also had the intention of using your mind to create something in the competition venue. Ding Cici said, did my father form a feud with the Su and Zhao families back then? Back then, the young master was good-looking. At that time, both the ladies of the Su and Zhao families had expressed that they would not marry unless they were young masters. Ding Sirs. My father only told my mother that he has many enemies here, but he never said that these so-called enemies are peach blossom deaths. There are indeed quite a few. After careful consideration, Piaoshu couldn't help but agree with Ding Cici's words. So Miss Wu, are you still going tomorrow? If the elders of their 2 families arrange for the younger generation to cause trouble, you may be in danger. Ding Cici smiled slightly and said, it's okay. My dad told me to walk a little longer when I come, so that I can make progress. If you want to go, then don't stop the old slave from following. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Qingyu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Qingyu Watercolor. There was no one left to stay in Ding Cici's room, even Piaoshu did not let her stay. Ding Cici sat on a stool, with 2 cups of tea on the table. The door was suddenly pushed open, and Ding Circe looked up, only to see the appearance of the person entering and raised his eyebrows. "Sister Qingyu, what's up with coming to me so late?" Qingyu sat down on her own and picked up another glass of water from the table, saying, "It's really a pity to drink such good tea alone so late." "What, you're disappointed when you see that it's not Qingyu coming in?" Ding Cici smiled obediently and said, "With such a good understanding, no matter who comes, I am welcome." Qingyu said, "Ah, yes. Even though we are all cultivators with intelligent ears and eyes, we dare to give Qingyu a small note. Did you put this little note for Qingyu or for us to see? Whoever came is who I showed it to." The door was pushed open again, and the person who came in this time was clearly Qingyu. Ding Cici said, "The place where my dad used to live is indeed a treasure trove of feng shui. I have only been here for less than a day, and on the first night, 2 beautiful women came to find me." Qingyu sat on the other side and glanced at Qingyu, saying, "You look quite handsome, but you're just a monster inside. It's a waste of my good health." Qingyu smiled slightly but remained silent. Qingyu looked at Ding Cici and said, "Uncle left back then and had plans not to come back. Even if he is no longer in the world, he probably won't let you come back. What are you coming back for?" "For you, Sister Qingyu. Before my father left, he told me that he had a niece who couldn't practice like him since childhood. He wanted me to come and see if that niece was not doing well, and if she didn't, take her away. But now, Sister Qingyu seems to be doing well." Qingyu propped up his chin and said, "So now that you see it, why don't you leave?" Ding Cici shook his head and said, "I can't leave for now. I can be sent over by someone, but I don't have the ability to leave on my own. However, one day there will be." Qingyu glanced at Ding Shi's and pointed at the cup. Qingyu immediately took out a new cup, filled it with tea, and handed it to Qingyu. Qingyu took a sip and didn't put down the cup. Her green fingertips rubbed against the wall of the cup and slowly spoke. "I used to be unable to cultivate, and my fighting spirit couldn't solidify at all. Later, Qingyu gradually grew older. One day, she suddenly told me that she had found a way for me to cultivate." "Ding Circe. Did you start telling stories so suddenly, without laying the groundwork?" Qingyu chuckled lightly and didn't answer Ding Cici's words. She continued, "She told her that someone gave her a heavenly level technique, which is a technique where 2 people share their cultivation talents. If we can succeed, not only can I enjoy Qingyu's cultivation talent, but my cultivation talent will even go further." At first, I was happy, feeling that although the heavens may not be good to me, they are not always too bad. In the end, I thought too well. Half of Qingyou's face slowly changed, half remained motionless, and the other half slowly transformed into Qingyou's appearance. "Shouldn't I scream out in terror now to match your current appearance?" On Qingyou's half face, the corners of her mouth slowly curled up, but on Qingyou's side, it was as cold as ice. "I think it's better to cry in fear. So, because of your cultivation, you have become the current situation of one body with 2 souls." Qingyu nodded. "The Qingyu next to you told us that you have a solution." Ding Cici looked at Qingyu and said, "Sisters, we have only met once so far. Except for a few people in the room, no one should know about your current situation. Just tell me with peace of mind, do you still believe the people around you who have occupied the body of Sister Qingyu? Is the cultivation method also provided by her?" Qingyu nodded and said, "That's right. I chose to tell you not only because of her, but also because of my uncle. And I don't have much time left. I can feel that Qingyu's soul is getting weaker and weaker, and I'm afraid she might have an accident." Ding Cici's eyes looked back and forth between Qingyu and Qingyu, and after a while, he spoke up, the person inside Qingyu should have no spiritual consciousness at that time, right? Or was it just a dead thing at that time? Well, she was originally a creature from another world and bound a contract with Qingyu. If she could complete the tasks she posted, she would receive rewards from her. The cultivation method was obtained by Qingyu's hard work in completing the tasks. Perhaps they regard Ding Sisi as the only person currently able to help them, and Qingyu has nothing to hide, completely revealing everything. I don't know if there are any problems with the martial arts, but the current situation between you two is not caused by the martial arts. Ding Sisi looked at Qingyu and said, Sister Qingyu, can I touch your pulse? Qingyu nodded and placed his wrist on the table. No matter what I do, don't resist. Oh, soon, a faint spot of light leaked from Ding Sisi's fingertips and leaned towards Qingyou's body along his wrist. At the touch of Qingyou's sea of consciousness, Ding Sisi vaguely saw two shadows, one of which was clearly marked with a black mark, making one feel uneasy at first glance. Evil, making people only feel evil. One of them is also present, but it is very light and almost invisible. Ding Sisi's eyes flickered, and some dark flames gradually mixed with the light dots on his fingertips. As soon as he touched Qingyou's wrist, he didn't feel hot, only cold, piercing cold. Don't move. Feeling uncomfortable with Qingyu, Ding Sisi placed one hand on his shoulder, and waves of warmth melted into his body, slightly easing the chill he had just felt. As Qingyu recognized the sea, he felt the approaching black flames. The two light and shadow couldn't help but stir, and the black imprint began to heat slightly, trying to drive the two light and shadow to disperse the flames. Ding Sisi's face turned pale, and his fingertips shone brightly with black light. The heat transmitted by the hand resting on Qingyou's body also grew higher and higher. Qingyu felt like she was in a world of ice and fire, but she followed Ding Sisi's advice, endured her discomfort, and remained motionless. About a quarter of an hour later, Ding Sisi withdrew his hands from Qingyou's body, his face pale, and the cold sweat on his body had already soaked his clothes. But Qingyu only felt that the jade soul in her sea of consciousness was like being attracted, detached from her body, and drifting towards her body. Soul return. Qingyu opened her eyes again, and her originally cold temperament increased to 8 points. If the Qingyu that Ding Sisi saw today was the deliberately aloof and cold, then the Qingyu in front of him is the ultimate frost beauty, making people hesitant to approach at a glance. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Purpose of coming to the Cheng family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Purpose of coming to the Cheng family. Ding, the soul return mission has been completed, with a reward of 200 points. A clear electronic sound came into Ding Sisi's ear, and Ding Sisi didn't have time to doubt. He only felt pitch black in front of him and was about to fall back. Qingyu beside him quickly dragged Ding Sisi's back. Are you sure you want to exchange for advanced repair fluid? The exchange has been confirmed, please check it with the host. Ding Sisi did not completely lose consciousness, only felt a sweet liquid pouring into his mouth, and his mouth turned into several warm currents, penetrating into various parts of his body. The originally depleted veins seemed to flood into a clear spring, instantly filled with immense spiritual power. Ding Sisi opened her eyes, her spiritual power restored, but she still looked tired in front of her. Qingyu frowned and shook her head at Qingyu, saying, maybe the medicine is not enough, I can buy another bottle. The accumulated points over so many years are only enough to buy another bottle. Are you sure you want to exchange for advanced repair fluid? No need. Ding Sisi grabbed Qingyu's arm and said, the thing you bought has already had enough effects for me. I can only wait for myself to slowly recover. Thank you. If there is any need for help in the future, we will never hesitate to go up and down the mountain of swords and the sea of fire. Ding Sisi's pale face tugged at a smile and said, what's going on in the girl's family? But Sister Qingyu, that thing in your body was the one who took over from you before and appeared in front of everyone. Qingyu nodded and said, "It also requires points, at least it can ensure that it cannot be seen even below the 6th level of Douqi. It's a good thing, but not something that should appear in this world." "Can you hear its sound?" said Qingyu, thinking of Ding Cc's prevention of purchasing advanced repair fluid again just now. "Well, I did hear it. Maybe it's because I was entangled with your consciousness when I just helped you return your soul. I've never heard that thing speak before." "But, Sister Qingyu, are you sure that thing is still a dead object now? It is called a system, a thing from another world, composed of data streams. It claims to only be a program, and everything it does is done according to the program, without spirituality. Is that right? Can that be peeled off from you?" Ding Cc's tone was unclear. Qingyu hesitated a bit, but thought that the person in front of her was her and Qingyou's life-saving benefactor, and also her own cousin, so she thought of agreeing. "When I was young, when I first bound the system, I also thought about unbinding it. However, the benefits outweighed the drawbacks, so I decided to follow the tasks it gave me. After all, if I failed, there would be no punishment. If I succeeded, I would earn some points to use to purchase things in the mall. However, if you have a way to peel it off, you can still tinker with it. Anyway, the resources provided by the Cheng family are sufficient. At that time, I used it because there were martial arts in the mall that my sister could cultivate. Nowadays, martial arts cannot be practiced anymore, and it is of little use to me. Actually, it is only an equal contract bound to Sister Qingyu. If you want to unbind it, although it will take some effort, it is not impossible to achieve. Mainly, this little thing is quite novel. Although I don't need it either, it's also good for research." A black flame flickered at Ding Cc's fingertips, almost touching Qingyu's wrist, and the two of them heard a sharp electronic sound. "The host, we must speak with conscience. How can I use it? If I hadn't helped you with your soul separation, your sisters would have been exposed. That woman just did you a little favor. Are you going to abandon me? Think about it, I have been with you from childhood to adulthood. How much have I helped you?" This electronic sound carries a hint of impatience and is completely different from the usual cold electronic sound. Qingyu never imagined that her small system had two faces. Let Qingyu see the true face of some small things, but the impact is not significant. The equal contract bound between the system and Qingyu is true, and even if it has spirituality, it is only a newly enlightened child, which poses no threat to Qingyu. The biggest problem now is still, Sister Qingyu, do you still remember the time before my father left? Who did my father have more contact with back then? Or did anyone actively approach my father? Qingyu remained silent for a moment before slowly speaking. Many young ladies from aristocratic families in the second city, princesses and grandsons from the main city, and even aristocratic families and sects in the West have approached uncle and wanted to marry him. Ding Sirs. I'm not even sure if my dad really lacks this aspect of memory, or if he dares not tell my mother clearly. Uncle has lost his memory. Ding Cc shook his head and said, it doesn't count either. At least remember who you are, and your family also remembers. He was investigating some things back then, and just when he had an idea, something happened. After leaving here, he can't remember the memories of his investigation during that time. Qingyu frowned and said, Uncle. Is the reason why I can't practice the same as the reason why Uncle couldn't practice back then? Even, Qingyu is trapped in my body because of this reason. Dingsirs was too skilled in handling this incident, and she was well aware of the problems she had. Almost. The cultivation technique given by Sister Qingyu is not a problem, but if both of them have cultivation talents, they can indeed share the cultivation speed and even increase it. However, Sister Qingyu's body is like an energy converter, and when energy passes through her body, it will also be transformed into energy on others, making wedding clothes for them. The reason why I was able to practice before was simply because I had a harmonious soul with Sister Qingyu. But I have just lifted the connection between the two of you. When the energy on Sister Qingyu dissipates, it will still be the same as before. Back in the day, when I was young, I could see my younger brothers and sisters practicing. Although I never had any jealousy in my heart, there was still some secret envy. But if I had to sacrifice my younger sister in this way, I thought that practicing was not that important. Ding Sisi said, "No wonder my dad said if Sister Qingyu is not doing well, let me protect you. Sister Qingyu is as kind and good-looking as my dad said." Qingyu chuckled lightly, but her furrowed brow did not relax. Ding Sisi continued, "Sister Qingyu doesn't have to worry about anything else. Since she didn't know before, let's treat her as if she didn't know later. Just wait quietly, what belongs to you and my father's cultivation talent will come back to me sooner or later." Perhaps Ding Sisi was certain, but Qingyou's slightly uneasy heart also calmed down a bit. "However, I couldn't help but say, if there is anything I can help with, feel free to mention it. Both Qingyu and I will do our best to help." After the matter was resolved, Qingyu and Qingyu didn't stay in Ding Sisi's room for too long. It was because Ding Sisi's face was too pale, as if she was about to collapse in the next second. The two sisters realized that they could not help her at present. They would like to give her enough rest time to recover by herself. After the two of them left, Dingsirs finally couldn't hold on, his sleeve flipped over, and a porcelain white medicine bottle appeared in his hand. Pouring all the pills in the bottle into his mouth, Ding Sisi slowly walked towards the bed and sat cross-legged on the bed to refine the power of the pills. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Competition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Competition. Qingyu, why is your face so pale? Is it possible that there was a mistake in your cultivation, or did someone hurt you when you went out last night? Qingyu's tone remained eerie, but also carried a hint of genuine concern. Qingyu spoke in a gentle tone and said, "It's okay, it's just a mistake in cultivation. I'm afraid we can't easily use our fighting spirit for now. So serious Sister Qingyu, you need to rest well, after all, we can't do without you." Qingyu walked slowly over, and it was obvious that she had also heard Qingyu's words just now. "But it's usually okay. Why did someone just come to Sister Qingyu and you have an accident? Sister Qingyu, it doesn't matter how we bully our own sisters when we close the door, but don't be bullied by others." Qingyu's voice was smiling, but there was a hint of coldness in her watery eyes. The act of handing out a small note in public yesterday was visible to everyone. Nowadays, everyone is from their own family. Qingyu gritted the word self and looked at Qingyu with seriousness in her eyes. "Sisi is the daughter of my uncle. Although my grandparents did not mention changing her name or surname, she was also listed in the Cheng family's genealogy. I know you have other careful thoughts in your daily life, even if there is deliberate targeting, it doesn't matter, but Sisi is from the Cheng family in our own family. I hope you remember this." Qingyu curls her mouth and looks around at her brothers and sisters. After all, she listens to Qingyu and doesn't talk much. Everyone in the Cheng family's eyes couldn't help but widen in surprise as they waited for Ding Sisi to come from the other side of the water. So it wasn't Ding Sisi who bullied Qingyu last night, it was the two of them fighting each other. It seems that Qingyu's sister still won. Without him, Ding Sisi's face was too pale, and his body was thin as if the wind could blow a person down. Qingyu whispered, "It looks fragile." When Sister Qingyu couldn't practice back then, she was at least a healthy little girl. Well, she could only be a girl. "Are you okay?" Qingyu walked forward and took Ding Sisi's arm. Ding Sisi shook his head and said, "It just looks a bit pitiful, but it's not really a big deal. It's not like there's a competition today. When will we start?" Qingyu said, "I was supposed to leave, but I waited until now to wait for someone who looks pitiful. Since everyone is here, let's set off." Ding Sisi followed the people towards the door, and Piaoshu saw Ding Sisi startled early in the morning. Ignoring Ding Sisi's obstruction, she insisted on going with him. A car parked in front of the door is spacious enough for 10 people to sit in. The car is equipped with a space spell, and there is only one at home. However, our elders don't know how to use it, so it's mostly reserved for us to use. Dingserse nodded. The interior of the car is very stable, and the interior decoration is quite soft and beautiful, mostly using gauze curtains and the like. But looking at all kinds of brothers and sisters, Tinsel could not tell who decorated the car. Sure enough, Qing lay. Does Cece like this kind of veil? Qing lay smiled foolishly and said, looking at you staring blankly at these gauze curtains, do you also think that the pink and tender gauze curtains look beautiful when decorated? These are all the shark gauze that I found from the auction house 2 years ago. Not only do they have certain defensive functions, but the most important thing is their beauty. If you also like it, there is still some left at my place. I will send it to you later, Dingserse. Thank you, big brother. The place where I got off was not a martial arts arena or something, but a beautiful estate. There were servants guarding the entrance long ago, waiting for everyone from the Cheng family to come and welcome them into the garden. Qingyu whispered in Ding Cece's ear. This is the separate courtyard of Mr. Su, who is also the successor of the next generation of the Su family. This garden was built by him 10 years ago and is not easily welcomed by visitors. This time, it is estimated that his young son Su Gangqi is also here. This person's cultivation is not very good, but with the help of his father and his elder brother at Linyuan Academy, he has become accustomed to arrogance. If he comes to provoke you, try to ignore him walking over an arch bridge, you can almost hear the noise coming from the other side of the yard. After a few steps, you can see the crowd ahead. Oh, the Cheng family came quite early today. I thought everyone would only come after dark. The leader is the arrogant young master of the Su family. Before the members of the Cheng family could even speak up, someone on the side echoed and said, the Cheng family is extraordinary now. They dare not even withdraw from the royal marriage. There is nothing that the Cheng family dare not do in the second city. Qingyu spoke lightly and said, the 8th prince already has someone he loves, and my intention is not about love between men and women. The emperor approves of things. Do you know if the Su and Zhao families have any other opinions? Even if the power of the 2 city aristocratic families is strong now, they dare not disrespect the imperial power in front of others. Su Gangqi snorted heavily and said, let's wait and see today. Ding Cece is among the members of the Cheng family, and even if someone from the Su and Zhao families notices her, they don't have time to talk to her now. However, Su Gangqi seemed to have glanced at her unintentionally, with an unclear expression in his eyes. Qingyu grabbed Ding Cece and said, they're going to the competition table, let's go to another place. Qingyu followed Qingluo, Qingyu, and Qingbronze in one direction, while Qingyu led the remaining people in the opposite direction. Surrounded by people from the Su and Zhao families who did not participate in the competition, Qingyu said, except for those who are busy, if all 3 legitimate families are in the second city, although there is no explicit rule to come and watch the battle, they will probably not miss it. As Qingyu spoke, he followed everyone up to the nearby building, which was about 4 or 5 meters high. Behind the building were several tables and chairs, facing the competition table below. There are already some servant girls standing on the side, and there are many dim sum and drinks on the table. In the center of the building stands a high platform, on which stands a pitch-black dagger, with a transparent outer shell covering the dagger. I think this is the highlight of this competition, and it is also carefully stored. Cut, just a low-grade magical tools dagger, impressive. Seeing Ding Cece's gaze linger on the dagger for a while, Qingxi muttered softly and then stabbed Ding Cece's arm with his hand. Although the sisters at home have no money, the card your uncle gave you yesterday is enough to buy several such magic weapons. Ding Cece didn't know why, but Qingqiao kindly explained, the meaning of Qingxi is to ask you not to look like a bumpkin, it will be embarrassing. Dingserse. Aren't you today? Oh, because Qingxi deliberately concealed the time and caused public anger, I was implicated. I was not allowed to participate in today's competition and was replaced by Sister Qingyi. Ding sirs. I didn't even finish speaking before I knew what I was going to say. This child has a future. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 changes. The method of the competition is very simple. There is a large competition platform, with 15 people on the platform. The person standing on the platform in the end is the winner. Among them, it is evident that Su Gangqi has the highest cultivation level, with a fighting spirit level of 1 level and 9 levels. However, his cultivation level is mostly of the first level, medium level, or 7 or 8 levels of fighting spirit compared to others. But if the Su family doesn't protect him, this young master may step down the earliest. Knowing the background of Su Gangqi, Ding Sisi understood that his cultivation was probably built up by his family using resources. The division of Douqi levels is very simple, from level 1 to level 6, with each level ranging from level 1 to level 9. Among levels 1 to level 9, low, medium, and high are a large watershed, with levels 1.3 being low, 4.6 being medium, and 7.9 being high. Above the 6th level of Douqi is Doxian. Legend has it that Doxian has the ability to conquer mountains and seas, and may even break through the void and enter the legendary immortal realm. However, it is rare to see 5th and 6th level Douqi in the second city, and even in the imperial city. Both the 3rd and 4th levels are already skilled. Ding Sisi is not familiar with their level division, but looking at their overall energy, Qingyu is still stronger. It is estimated that this girl has hidden her true level in front of others. But the situation on the competition platform was beyond the expectations of the Qing family. Did the Su and Zhao families not form an alliance? Ding Sisi turned his head to look at Qingyu, who frowned and said, "It should be that we have formed an alliance. Both the Su and Zhao families have not done their best, and even Su Gang's skills have not been fully utilized. If they continue to show weakness like this, it may not take a quarter of an hour for this competition to end. Even in less than 15 minutes, the results on the test bench were already out. The 5 members of the Qing family are still on stage. Something's wrong. Su Gangqi wouldn't show weakness like this." Qingyu stood up, and at this moment, a female voice came from behind, with a hint of lazy charm. "Miss Cheng, since the result has already been announced, just accept it happily. As for what will happen next, it will be the fate of another Miss Cheng. It's better not to get involved." Everyone looked up at the sound, and behind them came someone dressed in red, playing with the prize of the competition below, the black dagger. "Oh, here comes the show." Her scallion white fingertips slid slightly on the sharp blade, causing people to worry that the next second the blade would stain the jade hand with blood. Dingsirs felt the gaze of this person clung to her face with a hint of indifference. Before she could even think about who this person was, she heard the people on stage bend slightly and salute. "I have seen Aunt Xiaoying." Ding Sisi followed the crowd and lowered his head, also understanding the identity of the newcomer. Su Xiaoying, the daughter of the head of the Su family, is currently at Linyuan College. Also one of the people Qingyu mentioned yesterday who had connections with his own father. Su Xiaoying slowly walked into the crowd, and the dagger lifted Ding Sisi's chin. "I thought it was a joke made by the people in the city, but I didn't expect it to be true. I've never seen this face in a long time." Dingsirs turned his head and only looked straight at her without saying anything. Su Xiaoying didn't hesitate and threw the dagger in her hand to Ding Sisi. "I'll give you the lottery from your Qing family. Anyway, they're all from your Qing family. The other kids should have no objections, right?" Qingyu replied softly, "The Qing family is one body. It's appropriate to give the things won by the brother and sisters to the sister who just returned home." Su Xiaoying glanced at her and said, "My cultivation is not very good, and I can handle things fairly well. I can be called the leader of the generation of the Qing family." Qingyu nodded and stopped speaking. Su Xiaoying no longer paid attention to the Cheng family on stage, but looked down at the audience. The competition was over, but the audience did not intend to come up. Or rather, it was the Su Zhao family led by Su Gongqi who did not allow the Cheng family to come up. Why are you in such a hurry, Qingyu? We lost today, but you have to remember that we intentionally released water today and don't want to waste too much of your energy. The competition is really about to start. Su Gongqi glanced at Qingyu with a mournful expression, then turned around and walked towards the high platform with his people. And on the test field, another wave of people appeared. The leader was dressed in a black brocade robe and had a handsome appearance. He was accompanied by a woman in white, with bright and white teeth. He looked like a pair of jade beauties. Qingyu's face changed slightly and she said, "What does the eighth prince mean?" Lan Yu smiled slightly and said, "Miss Cheng and I are in a hurry to come and go. Shuer and I feel like we can't resist you, so we decided to come to Cheng and apologize in person. Our marriage ended peacefully, and we didn't have much emotional attachment. No one treated each other unfairly. I said the same to Shuer, but Shuer has a kind heart and feels uneasy not apologizing to you personally. Therefore, she disturbed me without permission." Qingyu looked at Li Shuai and said, "Do you want to apologize in person?" Li Shuai nodded slightly and said, "Although the person I don't love in my relationship is a third party, it was me and Lan Go who ruined Miss Cheng's marriage, so I want to make up for it. Okay, I accept your compensation. How can I make it up to you directly?" Ding Cixi and others listened clearly on stage, thinking that Qingyu had a cold temperament and would not pay attention to people who looked down on her. They didn't expect to be so straightforward today. Seemingly aware of Ding Cixi's doubts, Qingyu whispered beside him, "In the imperial city, Li Shuai kept getting close to Qingyu and saying some ambiguous things. Qingyu probably really got tired of these people and things and wanted to make a decision today." Li Shuai also didn't expect Qingyu to reply like this, but her face was thick, but she quickly regained her senses in a moment. Just now, while watching Miss Cheng's cultivation from the audience, Shuer felt itchy. "I wonder if Miss Cheng would like to compete with Shuer." Qingyu paused slightly. Although this woman frequently provokes, she always lets Lan Yu charge ahead. "Do you want to take action yourself today?" Watching Qingyu not immediately agree, Li Shuai continued, "Regardless of whether Miss Cheng wins or loses, Shuer guarantees that she will not provoke Miss Cheng in the future. How about that? What do you want after winning?" Li Shuai chuckled lightly and said, "I heard that Cheng's daughter-in-law bought a jade bracelet last year. A few days ago, she had a chance encounter and felt very happy. How about choosing that jade bracelet with a colorful head? Indeed, there is a purpose just that jade bracelet." Qingyu casually glanced at the stage, and Ding Cixi suddenly realized that the jade bracelet that Li Shuai wanted was the one her aunt had just given her yesterday. Qingyu looked at Li Shuai and said, "The bracelet has been given away. Miss Li may not be able to fulfill her wish. With the favor of the eighth prince towards Miss Li, I believe we can find more bracelets that you like for Miss Li. Don't worry about keeping an eye on what others have in their hands. There is always a source, isn't there? What I see in the end will definitely belong to me. Isn't Miss Cheng very clear about this?" End of this chapter. Chapter 9. You're a bit confused about the situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. You're a bit confused about the situation. Warning, warning, the jade bracelet mission has been changed and the complete time has been shortened to 1 day. Please complete the mission before tonight, host. A cold mechanical electronic sound sounded out of place, and only a furious female voice said, "I didn't agree on a task for a week. It's only been 3 days, how could it suddenly change?" The host was supposed to complete the task within 3 days, but due to the host's inaction and failure to complete the task within 3 days, the owner of the jade bracelet changed, which increased the difficulty of the task. Please complete the task promptly. If the jade bracelet had been attached to the female lead, it would have been okay. I don't even know who it is now. How do you expect me to complete the task in such a short time? Please complete the task within 1 day. Task failure penalty. Electric shock, and deduct 200 points. Damn it, I only have 50 points to complete the task. If I can't complete it, you'll deduct 200 points from me. And electric shock. When will the system still have this feature? Are you playing with me? I am not responsible for publishing system tasks. It took a while to hear the electronic sound, but it was a bit more soothing than the cold voice just now. I don't care, I won't be able to complete this task like this. It's not a big deal until we all die together in the end. Anyway, I was killed by the task, and you have to follow me and be destroyed together. The system has provided feedback to the main system about the host's wishes, and there will be no further behavior of temporarily changing the task situation in the future. However, please ask the host to actively complete the task. The female voice relaxed a bit and said, "How do we calculate today's task?" The task remains unchanged today. Please receive the jade bracelet before tonight and complete the task. Damn it. Can you help me scan the jade bracelet? Where is it now? Confirm payment of 50 points to scan the location of the jade bracelet. The female voice gritted her teeth and said, "Yes." The standoff below lasted less than half an hour, and only Li Shui, who was originally imposing, suddenly changed her face. No one knew what kind of bargaining she had just had with the system, except for one person on stage. "Miss Li, what else do you want? The jade bracelet is not with my mother now. If you only want that jade bracelet, there's no need to compete with me. I don't want to compete with you either. If Miss Li is okay, I'll go back first. Oh, by the way, my relationship with the 8th prince was purely established at the time of our birth. If we were to talk about our relationship, we wouldn't have had it. Miss Li, it's impossible to target me because of this. I have ended my engagement with the 8th prince, and in the future, I will have no further relationship with him, including the Cheng family and the 8th prince. So please don't disturb me again, Miss Li and the 8th prince." Qingyu probably no longer had the patience to deal with the people in front of her, regardless of their reactions, and directly led the Cheng family up to the high platform. Li Shui's attention didn't lock onto Qingyu either. She looked up at the high platform and collided with Ding Cici's gaze. Ding Cici pursed his lips and smiled, then raised his hand to play with the broken hair on his forehead. A milky white jade bracelet hung on his slender wrist, emitting a sparkling light in the sun. "Li Shui. 100 points are right in front of me, as long as I lift my head, can the scan just now be revoked? Scanning in progress, progress cannot be rolled back." Li Shui looked up again at Ding Cici, with even more severe coldness, and attributed this account to Qingyu and Ding Cici, who had only seen one glance earlier. "Ding, the jade bracelet has been detected in this courtyard. Please carefully search for it." Hee. "Sis, I didn't see you wearing a jade bracelet as soon as possible. Why did you wear it again?" "It's okay, Sister Qingyu. I just think it would be more interesting to wear it now," Ding Cici said with a clear smile in his voice. Qingyu was puzzled and said, "It's better to wear it. This jade bracelet belongs to the category of mid-range defense weapons, so it's safer." "Shui, what's wrong with you?" Lan Yu felt that there was something wrong with the people around her. Although she didn't know why her crush was so interested in a jade bracelet made of medium-quality magic weapons, she even chased after it from the Imperial City to get it. Although mid-level defense tools are indeed quite rare, with her own identity, even high-level tools can be obtained. However, Li Shui is unwilling, as long as the one in someone else's hand. "I don't know why, but since it is the wish of my beloved, I am satisfied." Li Shui shook her head and said, "Brother Yu, that bracelet is very important to me. Although I cannot explain the reason now, I must get it. You will definitely help me, will you?" Lan Yu nodded and said, "That's natural. It's just a mid-range magical tool. If it's not a big deal, I can go directly to the Cheng family and ask the Cheng family's wife to come over. The Cheng family is just a small aristocratic family, and they dare not give me what I want. Li Shui calmed down and said, I seem to have a sense of the jade bracelet just now, and now it's among the people on the field. Lan Yu didn't take it seriously and said, then let's go up and come over directly. On the high platform, everyone watched as Lan Yu and Li Shui approached, and then stopped in front of Ding Sisi. I don't know who this girl is. Li Shui pulled out a smile, but when she wanted to go further, she was stopped by Qingyu. 8th Prince, Miss Li, what I hope is that you don't harass me and my family again. If you insist on doing so, I can only let my grandfather and father inform the emperor. The Qing family has nothing to do with the 8th Prince anymore. Your constant entanglement makes it difficult not to mistake your intentions, 8th Prince. The words in front of me are already weighing on the minister's intention to seize the throne. You should know that although the 8th Prince is the legitimate son of the Empress and also the only son of the Empress, now the kingdom of Lan has a crown prince. The 8th Prince sneered and said, you are protecting so tightly. Is this girl the daughter of the legendary third master of the Qing family? It seems that she is just like her father and cannot practice well. I will take another medium-quality magic weapon and exchange it for that jade bracelet, so that you won't suffer any losses. Is that okay? Qingyu's face became even more condensed, and Lan Yu's mouth did not contain any vulgar language, but anyone could hear the contempt and mockery towards Qing Fu and Ding Sisi in her tone. Qingyu walked up to Qingyu and whispered, the Qing family dare not be enemies with the 8th Prince, but the jade bracelet is a gift given by their mother to the 5th sister for the first time. It has extraordinary significance and cannot be easily exchanged. If the 8th Prince wants to force it, then today's matter can be transmitted to the Emperor's jade case tonight. The threat is evident. Lan Yu has been spoiled by the Empress too much, and due to her engagement issues since childhood, she has been instilled by the Empress that the Qing family will always be her helper in the future. At this moment, she feels even more ashamed and angry when faced with such an impolite threat in front of everyone. Just before she could say anything else, she was grabbed by Li Shui. Li Shui saw that the Qing family would not yield because of their identity as the 8th Prince, and even the Qing family was not afraid of Lan Yu's threat. If Lan Yu continued to be in conflict with the Qing family, she was afraid that she would not be able to obtain this jade bracelet herself. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Recognizing the Lord in your face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Recognizing the Lord in your face. In front of Ding Sisi, there were not only Qingyu and Qingyu, but almost everyone in the Qing family blocked in front of Ding Sisi. Qingchao and Qingxi, two young people, stood by Ding Sisi's side and grabbed Ding Sisi's clothes while doing so. Although he is the 8th Prince, now the Crown Prince's identity is stable, and due to his divorce, the Emperor has already harbored displeasure towards him. Don't be afraid, just scold her. If something happens, my grandfather will help with the aftermath. Ding Sirs. Grandfather Cheng. The Qing family has you, it's our conviction. Although Qingxi deliberately lowered his voice when speaking, everyone on stage could hear him clearly. Li Shui looked at Ding Sisi, who was blocked behind the Qing family, feeling both angry and anxious. She looked at Lan Yu's face, which was even uglier than her own, and had to hold on to him for fear that he would make the situation worse. Under duress, Li Shui turned her head to look at Su Xiaoying and said, Senior Sister Su, there may be some misunderstanding between us and the Qing family, but that jade bracelet is truly my personal property. It was accidentally sold out and auctioned off by the Qing family's wife. If Senior Sister Su is willing to act as an intermediary and Miss Cheng is willing to give up the jade bracelet, I would recommend Miss Cheng to enter Linyuan Academy, and I promise to reserve a spot for Senior Sister next year's Extreme Sea Fire. Can we still find an intermediary in front of both parties? Miss Li, instead of finding an intermediary, why don't you leave all the benefits you mentioned to us? Maybe we will consider it again. The voice is soft, with a hint of obedience. Everyone followed the sound and saw that it was Ding Sisi. Is the girl willing to give up the jade bracelet? Naturally. Unwilling. Ding Sisi's face was pale, and his body looked thin and weak, but he was not afraid of the person in front of him. She held a dagger in her hand and lightly tapped the jade bracelet on her wrist, making a crisp tapping sound that was particularly loud in this scene. She smiled and said, "When it comes to what's in my hand, I won't let it go." "You're playing with me." Li Shui's face turned iron green. She even felt that it was better to have someone snatch the things directly after being in the imperial city at that time, so as not to suffer this crime here today. "I couldn't get along with the crown prince, but I got along with a foolish eighth prince who couldn't see the situation clearly." Bai occupied the position of legitimate son in the palace. Looking at Li Shui's ugly face, Qingyu and Qingyu were even more guarded. Su Xiaoying was not far from Ding Sisi, and her gaze was playful as she said, "So, can an illegitimate son of the Morong family already determine the quota for the extreme sea fire? In recent years, he has been busy with cultivation and doesn't care about some trivial matters in the academy." Unexpectedly, someone with skills has even emerged. Morong family. Everyone present, including Lan Yu, felt surprised. Morong is a famous aristocratic family in the western region with strong strength. Even Lan Yu didn't expect that the people around her were actually from the Morong family. If we could get some support from the Morong family, even the crown prince with a stable position now, would he be able to shake some of his own strength? Thinking of this, Lan Yu's gaze towards Li Shui became even hotter. Li Shui felt the change in Lan Yu's gaze, and she couldn't help but say to Su Xiaoying, "Since I can say it, then I have my own way. If senior sister Su can help me, this agreement still holds." Su Xiaoying looked at Ding Sis and said, "Sis, your father hurt my heart back then, why don't you compensate me for him now? After all, the fire of the extreme sea is a specialty of Linyuan, ranking among the top 100 abnormal fires." Ding Sisi smiled slightly and said, "My dad has never mentioned Aunt Su in front of me." Su Xiaoying's expression froze, almost unable to pretend. After pausing for a second, he said, "That's not a big deal. After all, what I'm interested in is only your father's face. As long as it's that face, whether it's young or old, male or female, I can do it." Ding Sirs. Yen Go. Female hooligan. As he spoke, the dagger crossed the jade bracelet and crossed his wrist, leaving a shallow bloodstain on the wrist. Blood droplets slowly seeped into the jade bracelet. Warning, the jade bracelet has been recognized as the owner and the task has failed. 200 points are being deducted, please choose the time for the electric shock punishment. Note that if the host does not choose to execute the electric shock punishment immediately after 1 minute, it will be executed immediately by default. Note that if the host does not choose to execute the electric shock punishment immediately after 1 minute, it will be executed immediately by default. Li Shui was stunned by the sudden warning from the system. She looked incredulously at Ding Sisi's wrist, and the bright white jade bracelet emitted a faint red light, which was clearly a manifestation of her recognition of the master. Ding Sisi's face turned innocent and he said, "Oh my, I accidentally cut my wrist while playing with a knife. I'm afraid this jade bracelet is not my own, right? You. How dare you? Why don't I dare? I can't just give you the jade bracelet just because you made up a story and said it belongs to you. Even if what you made up is true, it was once, and now it belongs to me." No one noticed that the blood stained on the dagger gradually disappeared into the dagger and disappeared. The punishment time for electric shock will be postponed to the latest time. Ding, the shock time has been determined for the host until early tomorrow morning. We hope the host can prepare in advance. At the end of 1 minute, Li Shui chose the right time. Ding Sisi felt a bit regretful and wanted to see what this so-called electric shock punishment was like. Unless I climb Li Shui's wall tonight, I will definitely not be able to see it. However, there should still be opportunities in the future. Thinking of this, Ding Sisi looked at Li Shui with a hint of anticipation in his eyes, wishing to let the other party's system release the task again. Although I don't know why I suddenly heard the conversation between the so-called system and Li Shui and Qingyu, it's definitely not bad for me at the moment. And it seems that these two systems are not quite the same. Ding, a new task has been released. Please successfully enter the Yuan Tian Zun secret realm within 1 day, and the task rewards 50 points. Ding, a new task has been released. The host is requested to successfully enter the Yuan Tian Zun secret realm within 1 day. The task rewards 30 points, and if the task fails, 30 points will be deducted. 2 electronic sounds sounded simultaneously, and Ding Sisi looked at Qingyu and Li Shui without a trace. The same mission, different rewards, and one with punishment. Host, I have sensed that the jade bracelet is the key to opening the secret realm. We have recognized the jade bracelet, so the list of people entering the secret realm should be set by her. Hold on, let's secure this point. Qingyu. Dingsers, who can also hear the system sound. When did it turn into us rustling? Ding Sisi looked at the jade bracelet in his hand and felt a suction force pulling him into another space. Serene. Due to the system's prompt, Qingyu's attention was constantly focused on Ding Sisi. Everyone followed her cry and looked over, only to see Ding Sisi's figure gradually distort before disappearing in front of everyone. The members of the Cheng family were both shocked and anxious. They were still waiting to carefully investigate the situation. An inexplicable force teleported everyone outside the manor. For a moment, the gate of the manor was crowded with people, not only from the 3 major aristocratic families and the royal family, but also the servants inside the manor were teleported out. Su Xiaoying glanced at the crowd and indeed did not see anyone who looked familiar. Before she could speak, she heard an old voice that seemed to come from a distant place and seemed to be right in her ear. My mansion is now in the world, and those who open the secret realm can find 50 people to reach it and find what I have hidden. Aha, have a nice weekend. Effort in coding and saving manuscripts. End of this chapter.